The tailgate was already down when we found it. The truck, half submerged in the muddy waters of Willow Creek, tilted like it had stumbled home after a night of bad choices. A lone work glove bobbed beside it, caught in the current. No driver, no tracks, just Pops standing there in his faded flannel and Korean War cap, sipping coffee from a thermos he'd swiped from a gas station in 1997. "That's the second truck I've sunk this month," he muttered, and I knew this wasn't just a neighborly spat. This was war. It all started 5 days earlier, on a quiet Tuesday in June 2024, in the sleepy subdivision of Crescent Hollow, a place where the air smelled of pine and the Wi-Fi was spotty. Pops and I had just returned from fishing at a lake 3 hours out, where the fish were smarter than the mosquitoes. As we pulled into the driveway of our weathered ranch house, the setting sun glinted off a silver Chevy Silverado parked so close to our property line it was practically kissing our fence. Not just any fence. Mind you, the one Pops had built in 1992, half drunk, grieving the loss of his retriever, Max. That fence was holy ground. The truck? It was a middle finger on wheels. The truck belonged to Victor Grayson, the self-appointed czar of the Crescent Hollow Homeowners Association. Victor wasn't elected. He just showed up one day with a laminated badge and an ego that could choke a horse. He lived to enforce rules nobody remembered agreeing to: grass height, mailbox colors, the angle of your blinds. His truck, parked on our sacred line, was a violation of his own gospel. Pops stared at it, then at me, then back at the truck. "He left the tailgate down," he said, like it was a personal insult. "That's just rude." I tried to play peacemaker. "Maybe it's just for a day." Pops snorted. "So was the internet. Look how that turned out." I should have known he was already plotting. Victor strolled by an hour later, pretending not to see us, wavwaying with a flick of his wrist like he was dismissing a waiter. Pops nodded, like he was noting a move in a game of poker. By morning, a violation notice was stuffed in our mailbox, handwritten, claiming our mailbox was 2 inches too close to the curb. It came with a due loss $75 daily fine and photos of our mailbox from angles that suggested Victor had too much time on his hands. Pops read the note, folded it, and fed it to the fireplace. That night, I found him in the garage, rummaging through chains, ropes, and what looked like a piece of an old lawnmower. "We're immoving Victor's truck," he said, calm as a summer breeze. "Pops, you can't just tow someone's truck." He grinned. "I ain't towing it. I'm relocating it to the creek." By 1 a.m., we were crouched by the fence, lights off, Pops hooking a chain to the truck's axle with the precision of a surgeon. His old Ford tractor growled to life, and the Chevy slid backward, slow at first, then faster, until it splashed into the creek with a satisfying thud. Pops hopped off, flipped the tailgate down with a clang, and walked away like he just mowed the lawn. Morning brought chaos. Victor's screams woke the neighborhood. Folks in bathrobes clutched coffee mugs, phones recording the scene. HOA board members waddled over, looking like startled accountants. Pops sat in a lawn chair, thermos in hand, watching like he was at the theater. "Guess it just rolled down there," he said when Victor demanded answers. "That truck's got more rust than brains." Sheriff Tate arrived, chewing gum, clearly entertained. "Y'all feuding again?" he asked. Pops shrugged. "It's not a feud. It's a fence line. That man parked on my heart." Victor ranted about vandalism and theft, but there were no tire tracks, no cameras, no proof except that open tailgate, which seemed to haunt him more than the submerged truck. "Who leaves a tailgate down like that?" he yelled, as if it were a war crime. Pops just winked at me and sipped his coffee. The neighborhood buzzed. Kids started calling Pops the Creek King. Someone photoshopped his face onto a Viking warrior and stuck it on a lamppost. But Victor wasn't done. The next day, our mailbox vanished, only to be found in a dumpster by the community pool, alongside a new violation notice: improper mailbox placement. Level 4 infraction. Level 4 was for things like illegal bonfires or running a speakeasy. Now it applied to our mailbox's imaginary tilt. Pops held the notice up like it was a bad report card. "He's escalating," he said. I was still reeling from the mailbox kidnapping. "Should we call the sheriff?" Pops shook his head. "This is about power. Victor's playing chess, but he forgot I built the board." That afternoon, he dragged a box labeled Plan Z from the attic, filled with maps, old HOA bylaws, and a list of every neighbor's pet peeves. By night, he'd strapped trail cameras to every tree on our lot. The raccoons were baffled. Victor countered by hiring a team of HOA consultants in matching khakis, who swarmed our yard with tablets, siding weeds, faded shutters, and a birdhouse that allegedly violat aesthetic harmony. Then came the confetti bomb. I was brushing my teeth when a bang shook the house, followed by glitter drifting past the window like radioactive snow. Our new mailbox was in pieces, rigged with a spring-loaded glitter trap. Taped to the wreckage was a card. Gotcha. HOA Joy Squad. Pop stared at it. Joy Squad. Sounds like a cult for people who hate fun. He turned to me, eyes gleaming. Time to teach him sorrow. I'd heard rumors about Pop's past tales of a rogue sprinkler prank in Nevada. A county fair incident involved VYing a hot air balloon. I thought they were tall tales, but now I wasn't sure. In the garage, he unveiled Betsy, a contraption made from a leaf blower, PVC pipe, and a bike pump designed to launch nets. We tested it on a garden gnome. The gnome ended up in a tree. Meanwhile, I dug into the HOA's ancient bylaws and found a gem, a 1968 clause allowing legacy residents to defend their property lines against unlawful encroachment. It was absurd but legally binding. Pops read it and cackled. We're on hallowed ground, Jake. The next night, a drone buzzed our yard, its camera glinting like a cyclops. Pops didn't flinch. Betsy roared, and the drone crashed like a swatted fly. The HOA's newsletter hit every doorstep the next day, whining about drone vandalism and announcing a mandatory community meeting. That Sunday, the HOA set up chairs in the cul-de-sac, complete with a projector flashing Crescent Hollow. Unity through rules. Victor stood up front, sweating through his polo, his comb-over flapping like a surrender flag. Pop sat in the back, smirking. Victor's PowerPoint listed top 10 violators. Our address was number 1, with a lightning bolt graphic. Number 2 was a guy who'd left a Christmas wreath up till May. The crowd grumbled. Mrs. Larson, a usual HOA ally, spoke up. This feels like we're being spied on. Others chimed in fines for mailbox shades, grass height checks at dawn. Victor stammered, but the consultants were already packing their clipboards. On the walk home, Pops clapped my shoulder. Hear that, Jake? That's the sound of Victor's grip slipping. Sheriff Tate rolled up the next morning, parking on our lawn as usual. Victor says you dragged his truck into the creek, he said, popping gum. Pops didn't look up from the bird feeder he was carve-wying. And I say Victor needs a map to find the property line. I piped up. We found something in the truck. When they hauled the Chevy out, tailgate still dangling, a locked box was bolted to the bed. Inside, a stack of property deeds with crossed-out names, a VYL of murky liquid labeled X, and a Dula 40,000 check to Victor from Pine Valley Ventures. Pops whistled. Why's an HOA stooge cashing checks like that? Tate scratched his head. That ain't for lawn care. I dug into Pine Valley Ventures that night. No website, just a P.O. box and ties to shell companies buying up suburbs for condos. One deed had our neighbor Mrs. Harper's name. Another had ours, dated 2022, never finalized. It hit me. Victor wasn't just a bully. He was a cog in a scheme to push out residents with fines and violations, clearing the way for developers. The next day, Victor's wife, Clara, took over, patrolling in a teal tracksuit, snapping photos of gutters and fences. A glossy flyer appeared in every mailbox, pitching Pine Valley estates with condos where our home stood. Pops laughed till he wheezed. They're not even sneaky. I called the flyer's number from a gas station payphone. A perky voice claimed most residents were eager to relocate. I hung up. They think we're too tired to fight, I told Pops. He grinned. They're about to learn. That night, someone slashed the tires on Pop's tractor and left a note. Next time, it's the house. Pops handed me a box of old photos, showing him in front of our house in the 70s, fighting a factory development with protests and a borrowed mule. They don't build communities, he said. They erase them. As rain pounded Crescent Hollow for days, Pops welded a metal monstrosity in the garage, humming Merle Haggard. Insurance, he called it, refusing to elaborate. On the third day, sirens wailed. Victor's truck, still at the impound lot, had washed downstream in the swollen creek, lodging against a tree. A man was inside Victor's brother, Tim, who'd been levying in the truck, jobless and drifting. He'd been asleep when Pops towed it the first time, too scared to speak, thinking we were mobsters. Pops blinked. Thought I was MOVYing junk. Didn't know I was flushing out a tenant. Tim didn't press charges, claiming the creek cleansed his soul. Victor, limping from a supposed injury, was levyed. As they winched the truck out, a briefcase floated free. Victor opened it and froze. Inside were checks to him from various companies. A list of 12 families ours included marked cooperative or resistant, and more deeds. Pops nodded. That's their playbook. Push out the holdouts. The crowd, now a muddy mob, turned on Victor. Clara's safety spiel about Pop's net launcher and our weaponized bird feeder fell flat. Victor slipped in the mud, a poetic finale. At the HOA's emergency tribunal on the community basketball court, Clara listed our crimes. Mailbox infractions, drone destruction, tailgate sabotage. Pops countered with the 1968 bylaws. Pro-VYing the HOA's rules were add VY sorry, not mandatory. He slapped down a piece of the tailgate, etched with initials from the briefcase's list. This is Victor's ledger, he said. I handed over a USB drive with photos of the checks, deeds, and a recorded Pine Valley call admitting their scheme. The board, stunned, cleared Pops, citing procedural errors. The HOA collapsed. The county suspended its charter, voiding all fines. Victor vanished, rumored to be selling fishing lures at a strip mall. Clara peddled, Yard Serenity oils online. Neighbors painted fences neon, planted wildflowers, and nobody cared. Pops signed the house deed to me, his note simple. Hold the line, Jake. One morning, cleaning the attic, I found a box labeled Next War. Inside were prank blueprints and a plan called Operation Peacock Panic. I kept it, not to use, but to remember. Sitting by the creek, Pops watched ducks paddle where Victor's truck had sunk. Think they'll try again? I asked. Always do, he said. But they'll think twice before crossing a Harper. The tailgate, now in the garage, was our trophy, proof we'd outlasted greed. Crescent Hollow wasn't just a place. It was ours, one with roots, defiance, and a toe chain. What do you think? Was Pops a hero or a VY vigilante? Where do you stand on fighting injustice with force? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll want to hear your take on power, property, and standing your ground.